Awesome.
So with me now is my good friend and colleague, Alex Crook. And Alex, you've got a new book out about the Arsenal. What's in the book?
Yeah, I happen to have a copy in front of me. This is it, Arsenal Match of My Life. It's the latest in a series done by Pitch Publishing. Basically, each chapter is dedicated to a particularly memorable moment in Arsenal's history, a famous game. And the idea is that it's told through the eyes of a former legend. So we were very lucky with the cast that we assembled, actually. People like Bob Wilson, Frank McClintock, David O'Leary, Charlie George, Charlie Nicholas, Alan Smith, David Seaman, Pat Rice, who spoke about what it was like being Arsene Wenger's number 2 when they went the whole season unbeaten. And then more recently, Andre Arshavin, reliving that incredible game when he scored 4 goals at Liverpool, and Theo Walcott, remembering the FA Cup final win against Aston Villa. So we were incredibly fortunate with the list of legends that we got. George Graham as well, who's been on TalkSport 2 this week talking about the book, agreed to write the foreword. So he shared his memories of his time at Highbury, both as player and manager, talked about some of his favourite signings and how he went about signing players, very different from how things are done today. They didn't have a massive scouting department back then. George Graham used to get in all the local sports papers on a Saturday night, the Argus and the Pink and the Green, and basically signed Lee Dixon because he was reading the Stoke Sentinel and realised that he kept on winning Player of the Season at Stoke, went to watch him, ended up signing him and Steve Bold. A throwback really to how managers used to sign players.
Yeah, some fantastic stories in there. And you travelled extensively, didn't you, to go and meet these old stars, and you went to some of their houses and so on to get the stories?
Yeah, I went to George Graham's house. So that was actually after the book was published, and he very kindly signed some copies for me. Likewise, Bob Wilson spent a fantastic afternoon on his veranda overlooking the harbour at Christchurch in Dorset, wonderful part of the world. And considering I have no real affiliation or ties with Arsenal, that was the challenge initially, building up a list of contacts and actually getting people to agree to be interviewed for the book. And we did suffer some setbacks right back at the start. Andy Linnigan, now working as a plumber, having long since retired from football, put the phone down on us, myself and my co-author, when we asked him if he would be willing to contribute and relive the FA Cup final back in 1993. Ian Wright didn't want to take part either, unfortunately. And we knew that probably it was unlikely we would get the likes of Dennis Bergkamp, who's a bit elusive anyway, and Thierry Henry. But in all honesty, in the cases of the latter trio there, Wright, Bergkamp and Henry, they've probably said all there is to be said about their Arsenal career. The whole idea of the book was to try and tap into some untold stories. I think we've done that. Frank McClintock talks very frankly about a tunnel exchange with the great Don Revie, and an offer that, well, he found it quite easy to refuse in the end. I'll say no more, but you can have a look at that in the book. David Seaman told me about how he was let go by Arsene Wenger. He was sat on the beach in Portugal one summer. Wenger rang him up and said, "I've got some good news and some bad news." He said, "The good news is I still want you at the club. The bad news is I want you as number 3 goalkeeper, not even number 2. David Seaman thought, "Well, I'm not sure about that." He said, "But I would like to offer you a coaching role." That was more palatable. And then he said, "I want you to take a 75% pay cut." And David Seaman just burst out laughing, and with that, his Arsenal career was over.
Some great stories there. Do you actually have a favourite interview that you did?
Probably Charlie Nicholas, actually, which was set up by our TalkSport colleague, Jim White. And I did have to call in a few favours for this book. And again, Charlie Nicholas is not someone who's that easily accessible, but once I pinned him down, he was absolutely fantastic about his Arsenal career, his role as a maverick, and quite frank, really, about why he probably joined the wrong club. At the time, Liverpool were chasing him as well. They were the best team in the land. And he admits now, Charlie, that his style was probably more suited to Anfield than to Highbury. And again, he tells a story of an incredible exchange with George Graham. They used to drink in the same pub when George Graham was Millwall manager. And George Graham turned to him one day over a pint of ale and said, "I don't know why you joined Arsenal. You're just not an Arsenal-style player." 2 weeks later, when George Graham was appointed Arsenal manager, Charlie Nicholas probably feared that his Arsenal career was over.
Well, finally, it sounds like a fascinating book. So how can people get a copy?
I still have some signed copies left. Theo Walcott, Bob Wilson and Perry Groves copies. I'm also able to get Ray Parler to scribble his signature in a few. So you can contact me via Twitter, Alex_Crook. Just send me a DM and we can sort out a signed copy, which will make a great Christmas present for the Arsenal fan and your family. It's also available via the Amazon website and direct from the publishers, pitchpublishing.co.uk.
Alex, thanks very much.